Vijaya, just to I'm not sure if I understood it right. If you're asking whether a positive story works better or a negative or a critical story works better. My reaction to that would be it will be extremely specific to the kind of work that you do. If there is an urgency that needs to be highlighted in the community that you work with, then that needs to be highlighted, and you need to kind of use all kinds of innovative communication to say why it is urgent, and how maybe your donors can pitch in. For example, this organization called Water 4 has recently come up with a campaign that says, yes, you're going to have to wash your hands 5 or 6 times a day for 20 seconds. But what happens to the communities which doesn't have water? How are you going to take care of them? So that's more an immediate need that needs to be facilitated. And yes, positive stories work fantastically also. But given where we are today, I would be very cautious about putting positive stories, because none of us are really in control of the situation. Our healthcare system doesn't allow for us to be in control. But yes, positive stories of donors coming in, of people going in the front lines and working, will motivate, in a certain sense, a group dynamics, which will initiate more giving, like Rachna said. There is opportunity for that, if I've understood your question right and if I've pitched it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Janani. Rachna?
I think you have something there. I think positive story in any point of time bring out the best in us, because it's something that we can do. At this point of time, a lot of people are sitting at homes and they don't really know what they can do. So if they are given positive story of something that has worked and they feel, yes, that's worked, so I can also do something. While I'm sitting at home, I can make a difference, however small. I think would be definitely a way to go, rather than drastic stories, which already there is so much news which is going around, which is extremely pessimistic. So rather than take a pessimistic approach to communication, a positive approach to communication would definitely be a much stronger route at this point of time, as far as I can think. That's my
well, I think that's thank you, Janani and Rachna. I think that's a great point for us to take from this. And at this point of time, I would actually want to throw open the discussion to the audience here. So can I get a show of hands if people would like to share a story, would have a particular question? I think we're ready for So this is not a webinar. So the whole idea is to have people talk and people exchange, perspectives, questions, and so on. All right, there is a question here from Elder Care. We are raising funds from the community who are daily laborers and badly affected because of the lockdown with food supplies and other necessities. What is the best way forward in these times? Crowdfunding or direct appeal to donors? Before I answer this question, well, thank you for posing this question. You don't need to type it out. You can actually unmute yourself and speak. For all to speak with each other, and we'd love to hear your voices. And by the end of the session, we'll all switch on our cameras so we all see each other. So I do encourage you to speak, unmute yourself and speak. Whenever you want to ask a question, you have something that you'd like to share, you have a concern. So to the Elder Care Trust, I definitely think that Janani to respond to this after I do. I definitely believe that you must reach out to crowdfunding platforms and direct appealing to your donors. I think given the given the enormity of what each one is dealing with, what the country is dealing with, what the world is dealing with, I don't believe that we look at one group of donors vis-a-vis the other. I do know that most crowdfunding platforms today have waived off their transaction charges. Give India is running a special campaign around this. Donate Cart is, Keto is, Milap is. So please feel you must definitely use all the crowdsourcing funding platforms available. Global Giving is also extending a 50% match. For those of you who are already registered with these platforms, that's excellent. But there are also organizations who aren't. And by the time, one way is, of course, to start getting prepared, getting your organization due diligence. If there are numbers that you need support with, if there are proposals which you need to fill out, forms you need to fill out, you can always get in touch with the Toolbox team. We will assign volunteers who can help you out with that. But direct appeal, I think that I think is something which is coming very strongly both from Rachna and Janani. Your donors know who you are. Write to them, connect with them. Keep your ask very specific at this point of time. And I think that can work. And Janani, do you want to add to really what the ask has to be? I believe it needs to be very, very specific. What is money exactly going towards? And I think at this point of time, given that there's so many appeals in globally and nationally and locally, we need to have some sort of a transparency stamp. Please do not misunderstand. I'm sure each of you are fabulous, fantastic, transparent organizations. But many times, if you have a GuideStar transparency badge, if you're part of the Global Giving Network, I know they do work. But for those of you who don't, you have a 12A ATG, great. For those of you who don't even have that, best way to start is to reach out to people who have been your supporters in the communities, in the networks,